Today's video, we're going to be reviewing the AtGames Legends Ultimate Mini Arcade Cabinet. Now, this specific product was sent to me by AtGames for the purposes of making this review. I'm supposed to share my thoughts and opinions of the product, and then when everything's said and done, I'm supposed to box it back up, send it on its merry way off to a different creator to do with as they may. Now, AtGames didn't get to review this video before I uploaded it, and they didn't ask me to say anything in particular about the product whatsoever. With that disclaimer out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to the review. The Legends Ultimate Mini is the second official arcade cabinet release from AtGames. Roughly 2 years ago, they came out with their larger Legends Ultimate Arcade, which has been well received as a great value for fans of multi-cade arcade machines. The assembly process for the Mini was very straightforward and can easily be done by a single person. The main display unit itself comes pre-assembled, as does the control deck, leaving you really only with the base stand left to assemble, and that can be done with a basic set of screwdrivers. Now, I chose to use a power drill for speed instead, but I managed to piece everything together in about 20 minutes. But I would say 30 to 40 minutes is what should be expected for those without experience building these sort of machines. On the control deck itself, the player gets 6 action buttons and an 8-way joystick to control everything, and it's pretty good middle of the road in terms of quality. Not commercial grade, mind you, but certainly not the bottom of the barrel either. And I was also happy to see actual T-molding is used on this machine, which was a step up from the earlier stick-on faux molding that was used on products in the past that was also prone to coming unstuck over time and really just became an eyesore. Additionally, you can also swap out the standard Legends Ultimate Mini control deck for that of the Legends Gamer Mini control deck. This will give you an additional 2 action buttons, though it should be noted, unless you plan on using some of the OTG connectivity features, those additional action buttons really won't serve you any use on these native built-in 150 games. The Mini control deck also does come with pinball buttons on each side, which, as one can clearly decipher, is meant to allow the player to control various different pinball tables on standard horizontal mode or the new and improved vertical mode. More on that mode later. This little arcade boasts the same robust Legends family ecosystem user interface, menu systems, and features of many of the other AtGames products out there in the market today. It offers 150 built-in games for the user to play right out of the box, a decent mix of both arcade and console hits, with a variety of games across multiple genres. There's lots of internal menu options within the games that allows players to change the aspect ratios of the games, add scan lines, pause, save game states, and even rewind action in some cases. The machine also allows players to connect the system online via the internal Wi-Fi or an Ethernet port around back, and once online it really begins to blow the doors of possibility wide open on this arcade. Things like online high-score leaderboards, online gaming, voice chat also become available, as well as access to the ArcadeNet once you're online. And if you're not familiar with ArcadeNet, it is their subscription-based service that allows users to play even more games not built into the machine, delivering new titles on a monthly basis depending on your subscription tier, as well as offering pinball and arcade tables out there in the cloud. The machine also has further expansion capabilities thanks to the HDMI and USB inputs built into the control deck. Utilizing these ports allows the gamer to add their own games or connect various peripherals such as gamepads, light guns, or even a PC. If this all sounds familiar, well, it should. That's because the Legends Ultimate Mini is basically the exact same machine internally as its predecessor, the Legends Ultimate. The biggest feature difference between the Mini and the regular Legends is the incorporation of a screen that can be changed by the user to rotate between horizontal or vertical orientation. You'll need to unscrew the 4 bolts located on each corner of the monitor bezel by hand. It's then suggested you remove the monitor bezel surrounding using a supplied suction cup. Once that's out of the way, you can then grab the monitor housing, hand cutouts, and pull the screen out and rotate it around. And I was pleased to see there's a good amount of cable length built in, so you really shouldn't have to worry about pulling it out too far away from the machine and damaging the monitor. The whole rotation process takes a little over a minute to swap between the states. However, it should be noted that once you rotate the screen, the system doesn't automatically readjust its new orientation, and I couldn't find any systematic way to toggle or change this on and off within the user interface either. The only way to get the display to update after you've rotated it was to power the machine off and then back on again. At this time, the machine will boot back up into the new correct display orientation. While I am a big fan of the concept of having a rotating arcade screen, it's the execution on this specific model that I think could have been a little bit better planned out by AtGames. Specifically, my suggestion, I think they should have used some sort of spring-loaded mechanism. That way you could push in and then have the spring load come back out, rotate the screen, push it back in, and it locks in place. You don't have to mess with screws. You don't have to worry about losing the screws or anything like that. And it's just a little more intuitive and less involved to go ahead and quickly rotate the screen and rotate it back and forth if that's what you want to do, bouncing between vertical games and horizontal games. The second thing I really don't like, well, it's the fact that intuitively the firmware doesn't know that you've rotated the screen, and the only way to get the changes to take place is to power cycle the machine off and then turn it back on again. And really that just eliminates any possibility for a gamer to quickly change between a horizontal game and a vertical game on the screen. And speaking of screens, let's go ahead and talk about another noticeable difference. The LCD screen on the Mini is an 18-inch high-definition display. Colors look nice, contrast levels are decent, and the brightness is respectable. This is, however, a widescreen monitor, meaning the vast majority of the games you will play on this machine will have some of their image taking up with borders of some kind. Now you can bypass this a little by choosing to stretch the image in the menu setting options, but if you want the most authentic display presentation to closely mimic the original game intention, then you'd want to avoid stretching the image. To give you an idea of what the size is of the actual field of play, I went ahead and put together some measurements. This is where things really start to get tricky, because if you compare some of the measurements to the larger Legends Ultimate Arcade that uses a 24-inch horizontal widescreen monitor, then it really starts to become clear that there isn't a huge difference between the playable size of either screen. Only when a person stretches an image completely in vertical mode on the Mini does the difference really become anything worth noting. So when you stack the AtGames Legends Ultimate Mini next to a traditional commercial arcade cabinet, it definitely lives up to its namesake. However, when you put it up next to the AtGames Legends Ultimate Arcade cabinet, well, it becomes very apparent that this thing should really be renamed the AtGames Legends Ultimate Thinny. Because really, to the naked eye, that's the only difference that this really appears to have, is it's just a little bit thinner. Which makes the size and scale of this machine a little perplexing. If you as a consumer are concerned with the amount of available space in your home that you were thinking of getting the Legends Mini versus the Legends Ultimate, then I'm not sure the minimal differences in size in between these two machines are going to be enough to sway you one way. Basically, only allowing an owner to save less than a foot in width and a few inches in height if they choose to buy the Mini versus the Legends Ultimate isn't a big selling point in my opinion. The reality is you're trading off 300 built-in games on the Legends Ultimate to the 150 built-in games on the Mini. The control deck for the Legends Ultimate offers controls for 2 players, has a trackball and 2 additional spinners for gameplay as well. These are things the Mini lacks completely, meaning if you want to play more than 1 player at a time in the same space on the Legends Ultimate Mini, you would then need to utilize a separate gamepad altogether, which is of course sold separately. Now, this is the part of the video where the YouTube personality will typically tell you whether or not you should buy the product. I don't do that sort of thing on my channel. I'm a firm believer that you, as the viewer, are more than capable of making your own informed decisions on how, when, and where to spend your own money, and you don't need me to tell you otherwise. In summation though, I do believe the Mini is a solid product. The Legends ecosystem is well established at this stage as being extremely versatile, and you will have little to no issue playing or adding whatever games you want to this machine. I do question the need for this product as a whole though. As of the making of this video, this machine retails for $400. Likewise, the Legends Ultimate is also being sold for only $100 more through places like Sam's Club. It does everything the Mini does except for the screen rotation, has more controls all around, and even has the option to add additional pinball buttons on the sides as well. So I struggle to picture who the customer for this machine really is, and I wonder if they wouldn't be better served just spending the extra $100 for the Legends Ultimate Arcade instead. While the rotating screen is a good concept, I think the execution does leave a little bit to be desired, at least in my opinion. Now, it does have a much better experience playing pinball games on a vertical orientation than you would get on the horizontal aspect of the AtGames Legends Ultimate Arcade Cabinet. However, if you do see yourself playing a lot of pinball games and you want to play more pinball games and you got the space, well, I think you'd probably be just better served to go ahead and get one of the digital pinball offerings out there, as opposed to just getting this little bitty one that tries to do a little bit of everything. So it really kind of boils down to, do you see yourself playing a lot of vertical games on a horizontal widescreen monitor? And do you think that answer justifies the cost and minimal space saving differences between the AtGames Legends Ultimate Mini and the AtGames Legends Ultimate? You be the judge. Hey there, Doug from the future. Just wanted to give you a little bit of an update on some things that have happened since I filmed and edited this video. It's actually been several weeks since everything's transpired. I've boxed this machine up a long time ago, sent it on its merry way. However, I did voice my concerns to AtGames, basically just let them know the things I would change on this machine, whether they listen or not, that's completely up to them. And they did send me this actual video to kind of respond to one of my main criticisms, which was the fact that I didn't like that once you rotated the screen either from vertical or horizontal, you basically had to turn the machine off and turn it back on again to get those machine effects to take change on the display screen. Well, according to this video, it does look like they're working on something as far as a firmware update or something like that later on down the road, in which this will magically do all that and change the screen orientation without having to power the machine off. Now, it's not as smooth as I would personally prefer. I would like to see it like a cell phone where you just rotate the screen and bada bing, the changes take place. Maybe somewhere down the future they get it lined out, ironed out, and it works like that. I don't know. Obviously, this is early stages of a product. We're showing prototype samples, clips here in this video, so take that with whatever authority you want to assign to it. But I thought it was worth notating. I just felt it was important to add to this review video because it did address one of my main criticisms, at least slightly anyways. And that's it. No more. Roll the credits.